y'all. This is John and Mike back for another episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. As always, you can find us on Millions and as a part of the Fans First Sports Network. We are continuing our series on the craziest season in the history of college football. That is 2007. Tonight we are going into week 8. Week 8, right?
Yep.
Okay. Um, just a heads up before we get into it. It is right around 10:30 on Sunday evening. Um, I personally have been drinking for quite a bit. Mike is
I've had a little bit. I'm on my fourth drink.
okay. I'm on arguably 8 to 10, somewhere between there. Um, so
Eight-ish.
yeah, 8-ish. Depends on if we're counting in dog beers or not, you know?
Right, right.
So this would be fun. This would be interesting. The way we like to do things, you know?
Hmm.
As we say at the end, there's nothing finer in the land than a drunk, obnoxious Georgia fan, and we try to be objective for these episodes, but it may not be tonight. It is what
Sometimes
it
it's
is.
hard. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so do you want me to kind of take the lead on it like we did the last time we did one of these?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Okay. All right. So as we talked about the last episode, we were talking about how the BCS poll came out around this time, and this was in fact the first week they did the BCS poll. So the very first BCS ranking of the season. You had number one Ohio State, two South Florida, three Boston College, four LSU, five Oklahoma, six South Carolina, seven Kentucky, eight Arizona State, nine West Virginia, 10 Oregon, 11 Virginia Tech, uh, 12 Cal, 13 was Kansas, 14 was the real USC, Southern Cal. 15 was Florida, 16 Mizzou, 17 Auburn, 18 Hawaii, 19 Virginia, number 20 was Georgia, 21 Tennessee, 22 was Texas, 23 was Cincinnati, 24 Texas Tech, and then Michigan back in the top 25 at 25.
Hell yeah. First time since week 1 we saw the Wolverines back in the top 25. I will say this BCS poll, top 4 at least, reminds me of the very first college football playoff rankings,
Yeah, you
where
had
it
like
was
Ole Miss,
just
Mississippi State in there,
I
right?
was like, Ole Miss and Mississippi State were two of the top 40. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Auburn, I believe,
Yeah, I
were
think so.
three of the top 4 teams at the time.
Fucking
Um,
Mississippi State was one, weren't they?
yes.
That's why.
Spoiler
Yeah,
alert, if you don't remember the 2014 season, none of those teams even made the playoff.
but they also did the poll like super early. Like now they do it like November, and I think back then
Yeah,
like first week of October. So like it was stupid to do it that early.
right. I think they do it around week, I would say week 10 now. Don't know
I
how
think they do
accurate
it.
that is.
I want to say they do it around like the cocktail party.
It's normally the first week of November, depending on when when Georgia plays Florida is kind of before or after that, but it is normally the first week in November.
Hmm. Yeah, that's wild. But I mean, this top, yeah, there's going to be a lot that goes on in this in this week. So let's go ahead and get to it. So, as a Georgia podcast, we should say that Georgia did have a bye week this week to get ready for the cocktail party. And spoiler alert, we already talked about the cocktail party in an episode what, maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah, we did a To Hell with Everyone recently. I actually have our episode list pulled up here. I can tell you exactly how far back it is if you want to go back and listen to that. Um, it was episode 138, put out on May 16th. That we
Yeah.
did that To Hell with Everyone episode if you'd like to listen to our entire breakdown of the 2007 cocktail party.
Oh yeah. Um, All right, so let's get into the craziness to start off with. So this happened on, I think, I want to say it was a Friday night because it wasn't during the general recap of stuff that I had been watching to kind of get ready for this. But number two, South Florida at Rutgers, the Greg Schiano led Rutgers, by the way. Rutgers
First
actually
time.
upset, was it the first time, first go around. Rutgers upset UCF, I'm sorry, USF, sorry, 30 to 27 in Piscataway. Uh, so like I don't know how much we talked about Rutgers so far, but the one guy the Rutgers had was Ray Rice. I think we did
As
talk
you
about him.
put in one of the earlier outlines, notable feminist Ray Rice.
Definitely equal rights, equal fights for Ray at least.
I Yep. Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm not saying it was right. It just that's how what he
Well,
believes.
nope, I'm just gonna not say anything.
Yeah. But Ray Rice gave Rutgers a puncher's chance, if you would say, some would say, in this game. He in the first half he had 97 yards. He stiff armed two guys like straight to hell to get Rutgers in like scoring position a few different times. But to I think this was near the end of the first half because I didn't put it in here, but um Rutgers went for a 48-yard field goal near the end of the first half. Oh, there we go. And it was blocked. Fumbled twice and returned for a touchdown by USF. But after the revert, after the review of it, it was reversed because on one of the fumbles, the USF player threw it forward like fucking like 15 yards. Like, he had it in his hand. He's like, oh, I fumbled it, but he didn't fumble it. If you guys can't see it, but you know what I mean.
Going back to the 2016 ACC championship game with that accidental forward fumble.
Right, right. And
Or
they
I
called
guess
it
I should
illegal.
say 2015. But
Yeah.
yes,
But credit to the officials in this game. They actually called it an illegal forward pass, so it was not a touchdown for USF, which if it would have been, that could have potentially kept them from getting upset. So that's wild. Um, but so later on in the game, in the third quarter, Rutgers blocked a USF field goal in the third quarter to keep it 20-17, with about 8:54 left in the third. Rutgers pulled off a fake field goal. So a lot of special teams shit that happened in this game. But Rutgers pulled off a fake field goal for a touchdown to go up 30 to 20 late in the third quarter. And then USF was down 30 to 27 with about a minute left in the game and completed what looked like a 4th and 22 prayer to extend the drive. But hold up. USF was called for offensive pass interference and the game was over. Unfortunately for USF, everybody stormed the field. Greg Schiano got a signature win up there, and USF's dreams were dead. I mean, they're still alive in the Big East, but along with Rutgers is in the Big East at this point. Um, but uh, but Rutgers had a big time upset over again the number two ranked team in the country. For what it's worth, Ray Rice again talked about him a little bit ago. 39 carries, 181 yards. In the year prior against USF, he had like 212 yards. So this dude was a USF killer. He just nothing pisses him off more than just wrong geography.
incorrectly named schools.
He's like, Tampa's not South Florida. Ugh. Um,
Um,
as one should.
I was actually about to ask you if you knew one that Rutgers was in the Big East at the time because Rutgers and USF played every year from 2005 to 2013. Um, but also Rutgers Field, their stadium, is in New Brunswick, New Jersey, not Piscataway.
But the campus is in Piscataway,
I,
right?
that is correct. Um,
Hmm.
yep.
I didn't know that. Okay.
According to Winsipedia, at least, it
Okay.
is in New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Probably a shithole as well, if we're gonna be honest.
It's in New Jersey, but also, why are we allowing football teams in New Jersey to win football games?
I mean
NFL,
the job. Yeah.
college, doesn't matter. If you're in New Jersey, you're not allowed good things.
undoubtedly. Unless like you're the Giants playing the Patriots, that's the only time you can have that.
But as of today, Rutgers holds a three-game win streak over USF from 2011 to 2013.
Damn. Rutgers just the birthplace of college football, just owning just USF.
Don't say birthplace of college football is Rutgers if you're talking to someone from Notre Dame.
Well, Michigan taught Notre Dame how to play football, if we're going to be
I,
honest.
if you ask college football historians, it's Notre Dame all the way.
That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
I
And I teach middle school.
look, I'm not saying you're incorrect. I'm
Yeah.
just like I have read a few college football history books that give all the credit to Notre Dame.
Maybe I should be a college football historian. Just make up my own facts.
Look, you can give it a shot.
Fake it till I make it. Uh, all right. So next up, number 25, Michigan at Illinois. We talked about
Hell
Illinois.
yeah, Michigan's ranked again.
Yeah, there we go. As God intended, at least for a little bit, because it after this season, it would be a while, so they're like consistently ranked until like Jim Harbaugh got there. But anyway, so yeah, number 25 at Michigan at Illinois. Michigan won 27 to 17. Mike Hart, Michigan running back, was the leading rusher in the country at this point in the season, but he was out with an ankle injury, so I'm sure that title kind of fell off
Leading
after
rusher in
him.
the country with like a 500 record. Hell yeah.
This is 2007.
As the
Uh,
Big Ten gods intended.
yeah, right. Um, but yeah, he was out of this game. Michigan wide receiver Mario Manningham, again, he was, talking about the Giants again. He was a Super Bowl hero for them against the Patriots. He had like, I think he had like 130 yards, and I know he had over 100 yards receiving. He had two touchdowns. One of those touchdowns were not from Chad Henne. It was from wide receiver Var Arrington. It was like a wide receiver reverse turned into a pass, and it was essentially ended up being the game-winning touchdown for Michigan. So before that play ended up happening, Michigan recovered a muffed punt by Illinois deep in Illini territory when the game was tied 17-17 with about 9 minutes left, and then Michigan went ahead and scored that go-ahead touchdown that I just talked about. But wouldn't have let Juice Williams beat him that day. That would wait until 2008, where he just lit up Michigan in the big house. But Michigan gets their first ranked win of the season, so shout out them.
Yeah, in I know this is completely irrelevant, but it still bugs me how Illini is spelled versus how it is pronounced. It still bugs me.
You got to take that up with the Illini tribe or nation.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
You guys are
The
wrong.
No, 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 no. The Native Americans pronounced it one way, and the English pronounced it another, and that's what we say. So
That's fair. Yeah.
with this being the week of the 4th of July, fuck the English first and foremost. Um, but also quit adding syllables to words. There's enough. We have enough syllables. If
Mhm.
it's spelled Illini, that's not Illini. Someone call London.
Well, we try to take like the unnecessary use out of stuff like out of like color and stuff like that. So we've tried.
We've, we've been trying for a long time, but we still hold on to some traditions.
Hmm.
I will say I had to get talked out of taking bags of tea to the ocean on the 4th of July when I went to the beach. Um, I tried, I really did, you know, but I was told by certain people that that's too much. Um,
Is
so
it though?
I just wore my Wrangler cut off denim shirt with an American flag painted on the back to the
Hell yeah.
beach.
Was that enough? Was that doing too much 250 years ago?
Look, you can't teach certain people history, and certain people aren't worth arguing with.
It's fair. You just have to say, "Yep, you're right."
I tried. If you guys have a problem, send me messages and I will show them to that person. And next year, I will buy an insane amount of tea bags to take
Tea,
to the ocean. The
teabag the
sharks
ocean.
will get diabetes next year if I get enough messages.
Hell yeah.
And that's a promise.
All right, so moving on. So Michigan State went to number one, or BCS number one, Ohio State. Ohio escaped this game 24 to 17. Um, it was weird. At this point, it is weird, but back then it wasn't that weird to see a big like Eastern European quarterback guy be at the helm of or be at quarterback for Ohio State and not some like five-star like all world guy like CJ Stroud or someone like that. But Tim Beckman, which again,
Or Kyle McCord.
notable five-star quarterback that wasn't
I
good enough.
You know what? I apologize, Kyle. That was real offhand. You were not the problem.
He wasn't the problem. He's in a, you know what? He's going to lead Syracuse to promised land.
To at least an 8-4 season.
That would be huge for Syracuse.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go. Bet the over on Syracuse.
You heard it here first. I don't know how many people are talking about it, but do it. Whatever that number is, over.
Unless it's 12. Then don't bet the over.
And don't do that. 11 maybe.
Man,
Um
we'll get to it.
yeah, got to look into that more, this week. We'll see. Um I mean, honestly, this was not a very interesting game in the least. Ohio State had a few turnovers that kept Michigan State in it. And by the way, this is Michigan State head coach Mark D'Antonio's first year in East Lansing. Um, do you know who replaced, or you know who Mark D'Antonio replaced as Michigan State head coach? Like who was there before him?
If he got there in 2007, I don't. I say that because Saban went from Michigan State
To
to
LSU,
LSU,
to Miami.
then to the Dolphins, then to Bama in '07. So I have no idea who was the coach in
The
2007.
guy, the guy that he took over for had well, after he got fired from Michigan State, quasi SEC ties. I mean, he was in the SEC. He was an interim head coach in an SEC school.
Okay, can I take a wild guess?
Please do.
I know this is wrong before it even comes out of my mouth, but I'm going to say Rich Rod.
No, no.
Like I said,
Um,
I know it's wrong.
yeah. I don't know if you, I don't know how many people are listening and remember this, but John L. Smith,
Oh,
former Arkansas interim coach that took over for Bobby Petrino after he had his little
motorcycle
traffic
accident.
incident. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, Bobby, John L. Smith is fucking insane. If you go back and watch his like press conferences, like post game press conferences, and just like weekly press conferences, the dude was like certifiably insane. It's
It's fun.
yeah, it is fun, but not like in the Mike Leach way, like in the how the fuck is this guy like the leader of our program way?
You know, if I ever get to a position where I coach any team of any significance, I truly hope that's what people think about me.
John L. Smith was like the who was it? The Wyoming, not Wyoming, like Montana Tech coach or whatever that had all the sound bites before that we had talked about.
Yeah,
He was like him, except at a Big
not
Ten
funny.
school, right? Like dead serious, but like just like, oh, okay, you
He
really
was
think that?
like no redeeming quality Brian Kelly.
Yeah, yeah. He had dead eyes too. Yeah. He was bad. But Mark D'Antonio, this is his first year in East Lansing. You can kind of see the groundwork for like the golden era, like the modern golden era of Michigan State football. But he had Brian Hoyer, who might still be in the NFL. I don't know.
That's worth a Google.
Yeah, I mean, that was his first quarterback. He had Kirk Cousins. He had Connor Cook. Like, he had some decent to really good quarterbacks in Michigan State. Granted, he feasted off of like Michigan being god awful and Penn State, having damn near the death penalty. So like he was there at an opportune time, but you can see kind of the groundwork for it. Ohio State, they had a running back, Meanie Wells, who was one of their last like really really good running backs that they had, besides Ezekiel Elliott. But he had like 212 yards on the ground. That's really all the offense that Ohio State had. But yeah, Ohio State won, so it wasn't again not an exciting.
So, fun fact about Brian Hoyer. Take a wild guess on when he was released from the last team he played for in the NFL.
Was it? I'm gonna say 2022.
March 13th
Oh, really? From
of
was he a Patriot?
the year of our Lord 2024.
That's insane.
Raiders.
Oh my God.
He
No, that makes
actually
sense. That makes sense. Okay.
he actually played a couple of games for the Raiders last year. Um, and then yeah, he was released in the year of our Lord 2024, March 13th. He was drafted. His first season in the NFL was 2009.
Good for him. He's got a full pension from the NFL.
You know what? Add Brian Hoyer to our heroes list.
Mm-mm. He played more than Chase Daniel, though.
Yes, but he had less injuries.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, Brian Hoyer, you have officially made our heroes list.
All right. So moving on. So to SEC game here. So number 17 Auburn was at number 4 LSU. You remember the week prior LSU lost to Kentucky in Kentucky, and I think the week before Auburn beat Florida in the swamp, if I'm not mistaken,
The
right?
week before LSU beat Florida, and the week before that Auburn beat Florida.
Ah, got you. Okay. Um, so Auburn 17 somehow, and but LSU still number 4. LSU escaped with a 30-24 win in the Real Death Valley. Um, so they were tied at 7. LSU quarterback Ryan Perrilloux, who was in there just as a change of pace, like um, Matt Flynn wasn't hurt at that point, but he came in there to run an option. He fumbled near midfield, and then the Will Muschamp led Auburn defense had a scoop and score to go up 14-7 to start the second quarter.
From near
Uh,
midfield.
yeah, it was
So what you're
untouched.
telling me is LSU was not that good in 2007.
Well,
What I'm
yeah,
hearing and choose to hear is that LSU was like mid plus in 2007.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But that's all you needed to be in 2007, apparently.
Uh, Facts.
Um, But so Auburn actually got the go-ahead touchdown with 3:21 left in the fourth to go up 24-23 on a nice jump ball pass from their quarterback. It was last name was Cox. I don't remember who this guy was. Yeah, I mean it's not anybody I know. This is Tommy Tuberville's
All we
team.
need to know is he was big and his name was Cox.
Don't tell Kelly Stafford. Um, no, okay. She said it wasn't Big Joe Cox. It was
I, how many of
the other
us
guy.
believe that? Raise your
Not at
hands.
all.
Raise your. I don't care if you're in the car. I don't care if you're at work. I don't care what you're doing right now. If you believe that, raise your hand. I'm waiting.
Nobody
Oh,
can resist
we
Joe
got
Cox.
zero people.
Yeah. Nobody can resist Joe Cox. I don't blame her. Uh, but with so 7 seconds left in the game, Auburn left at the sorry, with 7 seconds left at the Auburn 25, Matt Flynn dropped it in a bucket for LSU to pull off the late comeback. Matt Flynn was 22 of 34, 310 yards, which I didn't know he was capable of. Again, unless he was playing the Lions, but he did it. 310 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. With the win, LSU extended their home winning streak to 18 games, not 25, like I had written there. Um, and kind of just playing devil's advocate here. If LSU lost this game and everything remained equal and they lost 3 games in this season, does that open up a pathway for Georgia to get to the national championship?
It makes it significantly tougher just because Tennessee won the East this year. Last year they won the East.
Mhm.
Last year they will have ever won the East
Yep.
just for you know, truth's sake because the East no longer exists. It
Mhm.
would have made it tough, but before bowl games, Georgia was ranked what third or fourth, so that made it. I mean, they finished the season ranked second.
Mhm. I will say, I mean, didn't Bama make it to the playoff twice without playing in the SEC championship?
Yes, but as
That's a
our
playoff though.
I was about to say yes, but as our friend Caleb, and as you guys may know him on social media, Dog Sports Memes, will put a video series out shortly of. Um, Nick Saban made a certain deal with with a certain individual that made that happen.
Yeah. All right, so moving on. So number 5, Oklahoma went to Ames, Iowa to play Iowa State. Iowa State was 1-7 at this point, so definitely not a good team. Some would say. Everyone
Ames,
would say.
you know, low key, Ames is one of the toughest places to be a ranked away team in college football. I
It's like the
don't
Big 12 equivalent of like West Lafayette for Purdue.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
It is the Williams Bryce, if you will, of the Big 12.
Oh, I'm gonna shit on Williams Bryce in a minute, so I wouldn't say
So
that.
I get that, but we're talking about from 2007 to now.
Yeah.
There are a lot of teams that should not have lost in Williams Bryce that have.
Hmm.
Um, and between 2007 and now, there's a lot of teams that Iowa State should have just gotten their teeth kicked in by that have
Hmm.
not.
Yeah, that's fair. But Oklahoma, they won 17-7 in Ames. Oklahoma was down 7-0 until halfway through the third quarter. So again, I mean, it's in the state of Iowa, so there's not a whole lot going on as God intended. Uh, Sam Bradford was 16-28 for 183 yards and an interception. And then Chris Brown, we talked about last week, had both Sooner touchdowns in this game. So again, not a whole lot of note in this game. Just like Oklahoma almost lived up to the Choklahoma name
I,
and
I've
almost blew it.
I've heard Chris Brown has firm palms. Um, that's that's all I know about this game
Hmm.
for Chris Brown.
I'll leave that there. uh,
We should not have drank as much as we have before this
no,
episode.
I'm sorry to anybody that wants to give us money to be a advertiser. We're just saying shit. We don't mean it.
Look, we have not said anything incriminating. We have made allusions
Hmm.
to incriminating things. We're having fun.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest, if you don't like having fun, I have, we have personally funded this podcast for long enough. A few more months won't kill us.
Right. All right. So going on to what I was going to say about shitting on Williams Bryce, Willie
Hell
B,
yeah.
some would say. Uh, Unranked Vanderbilt went to number 6 South Carolina. The commies seized the means of production and beat the Cox 17-6 in Columbia.
I like part of that statement.
Oh, which one?
Beat the Cox 17-6
Oh,
in Columbia.
oh, okay. We're not a political podcast, so I had no idea. Um, but so like last, like we talked about this last week, Vandy was dangerous this season. Vanderbilt was up 17-0 at the end of the first quarter. And then they intercepted I was about to say South Carolina in the end zone in the third quarter for really like their only like chance at a touchdown in that game. Carolina quarterback Chris, I don't think it's Smelly. It might be Smiley. Looks like Smelly. That's the way it's spelled. Was 14 of 24 with 2 interceptions. Vanderbilt moved to 4-3 with this win. Their 2 of their 3 losses were to Bama and Georgia. by a combined like 6 points. But they picked up a win over number six South Carolina in an allegedly difficult place to play Willie B. Some would say
Allegedly difficult is what I would call it in the 2020s.
that's fair. Yeah.
20, you know,
If you're Aaron
before
Murray playing in Columbia, that's a problem.
do what?
I said if you're Aaron Murray playing in Columbia, that's a problem.
Correct. And if it's, pre 2016, you know, there's a definite concern.
Hmm.
Um, but South Carolina has done most of their upsets on the road since 2016,
Yeah.
except for the 2022 beatdown of Tennessee.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
I will say I through the SDS podcast group on July 4th made an ignorant comment because I saw the first 5 seconds of a video about Tennessee and made a joke.
Hmm.
Um, but I drank a 12 pack of PBR by then, so and I admitted that to the person who made the post. So I hope Jacob Ogren, uh, accepts my apology because the next morning he said something back, and I said I was very red, white, and Pabst Blue by the time I made this comment. So I have no idea what I was talking about last night. My bad.
I'll have to go back and look at it. I vaguely remember it.
Look, dude, July, there are very, I don't get drunk for my birthday. I don't. I don't get drunk for New Year's, really. I don't get drunk for Christmas, New Thanksgiving. There are really two holidays, as someone who lives in Savannah, I will get unapologetically way too drunk for. St. Patrick's Day and the 4th of July.
Hell yeah.
And if you have a problem with that, you hate America. It's the same for St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
Because what do we do in America? We take other people's shit and say it's ours.
We
And
put all
if
put all the
Conor
bad stereotypes
McGregor
out there.
likes our St. Patrick's Day celebration, then you can eat it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Um. So one last thing about this game though, Spurrier with this loss, he moved to 14-1 against Vandy all time as of 2007. So first time he lost to Vanderbilt, which as one would expect, because Florida doesn't lose to them very often unless you're Billy Napier. Um, but anyway, moving on from that. Number 15, Florida at number 7, Kentucky. Florida, again, I put in air quotes here, upset Kentucky in Lexington 45-37. Aaron Hernandez caught a touchdown. That was pretty killer. Um,
He caught a lot of things in his time. Some of them touchdowns, some of them charges.
I was gonna say cases, but yeah, yeah, same thing. Quarterback, Kentucky quarterback Andre Woodson threw a short like tunnel screen to I think it was Stevie Johnson that went 50 yards for a touchdown, like a la like uh, Lad McConkey and Brock Bowers, kind of bringing up good memories for us.
Hell yeah.
I mean, just untouched 50 yards, middle of
As
crazy.
your shirt suggests, it's one of like 4 or 5 McConkey on his donkey shirts floating around in the world.
I mean, it's pretty rare.
It is.
It
It
really.
is.
Mhm. Um, so where did I left off? Andre Woodson had Kentucky down 38-24, 3:36 left in the fourth, and threw a 10-yard touchdown pass to make it 38-31. Instead of trying to run the air out of the ball, Urban Meyer decided to just say fuck it. Percy Harvin's open down there somewhere. With obviously Tim Tebow threw it, but he threw a 45-yard bomb to Harvin with less than 2 minutes left to get Kentucky to get Florida to Kentucky's 2 yard line to kind of
But
seal the game.
if
Yeah,
we're being honest, it was more of a fuck it. Percy Harvin is down there somewhere.
it
And
takes forever to get it down there.
I was about to say if you don't get the joke, that is a Tim Tebow has the slowest and largest throwing motion of any Heisman winning quarterback in the last 30 years.
Might be any quarterback that was worth a damn.
I, might be. He's still a phenomenal quarterback. I hate he went to Florida, but and this is possibly some hedging because we've been trying to get him on the show since we started. Um, we do love you, Tebow. We just hate you went to
Mhm.
Florida.
And then you give like circumcisions to kids in the Philippines for fun. But yeah,
Whoa, whoa!
actually, I don't hate that. Good for him. They need that. Maybe.
Cleanliness, cleanliness, as I've been told.
But how many kids in the Philippines can't you put a Zen in? Never mind. Um,
Whoa,
Whoa.
that's you know, damn it! I just dropped mine.
All right. So Tebow was 18 to 26, 256 yards and five total touchdowns. Andre Woodson, 35 of 50 for 416 yards and five touchdowns. So I mean, it was a fun game. If you're gonna watch, like go back and watch one of the games that we talked about today. This probably again would be the one. Kentucky was super fun this year. Last week against LSU, this week against Florida, even though they lost. Andre Woodson was a fucking dog.
Yeah, I would love to do a deep dive on what happened to him after Kentucky.
It's a good question. I have no idea.
I will we'll look into it. If you guys hear about it, that's because it was interesting.
Yeah. All right, so moving on. Mississippi State, again, week 8, went to West Virginia. So again, another weird time for like an out of conference game. Um, West Virginia won 38 to 13. Again, not a particularly interesting game. Pat White had a quarterback. Pat White for West Virginia had a 70-yard rushing touchdown, which is pretty cool to look at. But just some other notes. He was not nearly as good of a passer as I remember him being. He really didn't throw it all that much. Like without watching a lot of like West Virginia, I think I would have assumed like, oh, like they threw it all over the place. They're a spread offense. Like, no, this team was like, I mean, run first, run second, run third. Like, really tried not to pass the ball that much. Um, but he was like in this game, Pat White was 8 of 12 for 61 yards. He did have two touchdowns passing and then one rushing.
I had
Uh,
75% completion percentage.
yeah, there we go. That's quick math. Um,
I think that is the correct math. I don't
I
know.
think
I'm not a mathologist.
it, it might be. I think I feel like it's 75%. Um, it's too late for that now.
Nope, 66.
Oh, 2/3. Okay.
Yep, not a
Yeah, yeah,
mathologist. If you've listened to the show for long enough, you know I'm a blue collar guy and appreciate alcohol. So
yeah. Steve Slayton, he broke the career rushing touchdown record for West Virginia in the first quarter. He had 127 yards and a touchdown in this game. Again, West Virginia was up 28 nothing at the end of the first quarter, so this game was pointless. Um, really to watch. But I just want to note it because we talked about West Virginia a lot. Number 12, Cal at UCLA. This game was actually pretty interesting. UCLA won this game 30 to 21. Deshaun Jackson had a game. He had like two touchdowns, 138 yards, including a 50-yard bomb um, in this game. He had another, like I said, he had another nice corner touchdown catch, dragging his foot in the back of the right corner of the end zone.
Deshaun
UCLA,
Jackson doing Deshaun Jackson things.
yeah, Deshaun Jackson was freaking filthy, nasty, nasty guy. Um, but UCLA ended up having a long pick six to seal the game with 90 seconds left. So again, Cal now on a two-game losing streak, irrelevant. So another game that really is not really super interesting, but just had a note. Number 13, Kansas at Colorado. Kansas won 19 to 14. Kansas was down 3 to nothing with 1 minute left in the third quarter when they got a short rushing touchdown. But I think last week we said, oh, I don't know. I couldn't name a single player on this team. You know who was a player that we could name on the team when I just saw him in the background?
Who?
I always struggle saying his name, but Aqib Talib.
Akib Talib
Yeah, there we go.
for Kansas?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what. what year he was in or anything like that, but I just saw him like in the middle of like a fight. So I'm like, oh, there he is.
Hell yeah. That's
I mean, he
that's
wasn't
how
the
I
one
want
fighting.
my
He was like in the
players to
background.
make an appearance.
Yeah. But yeah, Kansas won. All right, so uh semi deep dive here, and I'll try to go through it quick because we've been going for a while. But number 24, Texas Tech went to number 16, Missouri. Again, not a super interesting game. Missouri won 41 to 10. You just got to say, never underestimate the power of seeing Como's naked. You go to
Never.
Columbia, Missouri. You go to Columbia, Missouri. You're gonna see some shit.
That's a trip that the two of us need to make at some point.
Hmm. That would be fun though. Especially when Missouri's good, like they are right now. But Texas Tech quarterback Graham Harrell threw a pick six to start the game. For Texas Tech, he was 44 of 69.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
for 397 yards. He did have a touchdown, but he had four interceptions. So he
I was about to say 397 yards and 10
44
points.
completions. And 44 completions. I mean, it's the air raid.
That's the most Mike Leach line I could have ever imagined.
Mhm.
But also, had he won this game, probably would be in the Hall of Fame right now. Just,
I mean, he was what, a game or two off, right?
yep. To get on my soapbox for just a second, the fact that Mike Leach is not in the Hall of Fame, but the NFL has coaches that won 33% of their games because they were innovators in the Hall of Fame is absolutely ridiculous.
Hmm.
You're telling me Mike Leach does not qualify for an innovator of college football? Oh, wait, they don't have an innovator wing because the NFL does.
Right.
But guys like Mike Leach don't qualify for that because they never coached in the NFL for long enough.
Yeah, it's
It's
stupid.
absurd. It's
Yeah, it really
absurd.
is. So like while you're talking about Mike Leach, he was in Lubbock for I guess it was 10 years from 2000 2009. Excuse me. He went. I mean, so like some of his like seasons weren't like necessarily like super remarkable in Lubbock. He won the Big 12 South once, and that was in 2008, so near the end of his tenure there. In his career, so this isn't just in Texas Tech, but in his career, he won 18 games against AP ranked teams as an unranked team, which is the most in college football history for a head coach. So I mean, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Still not in the Hall of Fame.
Still not in the Hall
That
of Fame.
drives me insane.
He every year he was in Lubbock, he had a winning season, so 10 consecutive winning seasons. 8 seasons with at least 8 wins, 4 seasons with at least 9 wins, and then he did have one 11 win season. I'm guessing that was in 2008. 9 consecutive bowl appearances there. 5 bowl wins, which was most by any individual coach in the history of Texas Tech. 4 seasons completed with a team ranked in the top 25 or finished in the top 25. So that's Texas Tech. That's really good. He was 19 and 11 against in-state conference rivals. Which mind blowing. So against Baylor, Texas, and Texas A&M, which Texas was like that was their last like prime era was this time, and he had a winning record against other teams in Texas, which is crazy. He was 53 and 11 at home at Jones AT&T Stadium, which is Texas A&M at Texas Tech's home. Uh, Out there in Lubbock. He was a 2008 AP Big 12 Coach of the Year. Um, while as Texas Tech's head coach, his players broke more than 150 NCAA, Big 12, and school records during his 10 years there. He's the all-time winningest coach in Texas Tech history, and like you mentioned, he should be a Hall of Famer.
What do we need to do as a society to get Mike Leach in the Hall of Fame?
Hmm.
Like, this is a serious question because
It
he's
is.
obviously an innovator of the game. He's
Mhm.
obviously a personality of the game. He is one of the biggest influences of the game of college football over the last 20 years.
Mhm.
21st, like, if there is a, and this is a big if there is a 21st century wing of the College Football Hall of Fame, I can tell you the first two names that come to mind to be inducted into that wing of the College Football Hall of Fame: Mike Leach, Nick Saban.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other than that, who deserves, as of today, to be in that wing?
I don't know.
Possibly Bob Stoops, but you could argue he's turn of the
Eh,
most recent century.
yeah. Hmm.
Like, yeah, if you created that wing of the College Football Hall of Fame, there are two immediate names that deserve to be there. And to be completely honest with you guys, I do not give a tenth of a shit about winning percentage
No.
because Mike Leach barely misses that qualification. I
Hmm.
care about people that change the game. Mike Leach qualifies for that. Personalities of the game. Mike Leach qualifies for that. People that turn programs around into constant threats. Can you tell me more than what, Georgia and Alabama, that a Mike Leach team was not a threat to between when the time he took over as a head coach until the time he passed away? That was a dangerous head coach. And I think you're frozen. Are you frozen? Oh shit, you're frozen. Oh, you're out of here. Um, is it me or is it you? We may never know. Um, Mike lost power, so his Wi-Fi went out. I will close up the next couple of things, and if he can join us again, he will. But we had number 21 Tennessee at unranked Alabama, and Bama continued to win and dominate the third Saturday in October, winning this game 41-10. Bama opened this game with an onside kick and recovered it. John Parker Wilson threw several touchdowns off of bootleg passes, and Tennessee couldn't stop it. They made 2007 John Parker Wilson look a lot like 2020 Mac Jones, um, which, if anyone's seen Mac Jones' career in the NFL, you know is not good. John Parker Wilson was 32 of 46 for 363 yards and three touchdowns. Eric Ainge, 22 of 35 for 243 yards, one touchdown and one pick. And you just have to wonder if Eric Ainge made some other stupid comments before this game. Um, and this game made all of the East, or six of the seven teams in the SEC East, have two losses, which was wild at the time. Um, we had Clemson beat Central Michigan 70-14, and North Dakota State beat Minnesota in the Metro Dome on the Big Ten Network. Um, and as of this week, week 8, we had five top five teams have at least one loss throughout the season, which is just another reason that 2007 is the craziest season in college football history. But with Mike losing power just a minute ago, we will go ahead and get out of here. If you have not, follow us on social media at nothing.finder.pod on Instagram, at finderpod on Twitter. Just look us up on Facebook and YouTube. Nothing Finer Podcast on TikTok. And as always, guys, remember there's nothing finer in the land than a drunk, obnoxious Jordan fan.